box filled with.
Box of issues.
Welcome back to Box of Issues. Welcome back to Cove's Crazy Adventure. I don't know. It's very strange being on the receiving end of these weird voices.
What weird voices, Governor? What are you talking about?
How often when I was doing FLODT, how often did it seem like I was running out of voices to do?
Whenever you got to like, whenever you would switch between like Scarlet and Violet, you were like, oh, later parts, and like you would do Cat, Scarlet and Violet.
They were like all like kind of the same
voice.
They were, because the thing is like I would do them differently, but like I would forget the differences between them.
Yeah, you forget the nuance between them. But
Yeah.
Yui, Terra. Yeah, Yui and Terra were like set in stone, right?
I don't know. The original Terror was a lot more Hulk Hogan, and then it moved into very cowboy.
Yeah.
Are you coming to catch fireflies with us? You could see Lizzie eyeing you for mentioning the excursion to an outsider, but she'd get over it. You hoped Cove would say yes. That way, you wouldn't be the odd one out with Lizzie and Shiloh anymore.
I guess Shallow's simping for your sister, bro. I can do that. I've never caught one before.
It's too bad he didn't have a chance before now. Fireflies weren't out when he first moved in, and there must not have been many anywhere he used to live.
We can't go out until after dinner.
That was not her voice.
That was not her voice.
What the fuck happened to her?
I don't know.
She turned into like a gremlin.
I think we'll keep that.
We can't go out until after dinner. After she pointed this out, Lizzie walked back to the table and took her seat. There wasn't much left on her plate. Since this was very true, you decided to finish up your own stuff as well. Cove stepped closer and eyed what was on the menu for your first meal.
Bust me. Have you eaten yet? Yeah, my dad and I ate earlier. Oh, what did you have? I had salted cod, a few rats on the side, and bears and mash. Eggs?
The clipped, one-word answer seemed to discourage Shiloh from asking any more questions. His eyes slowly wandered back to the last scraps of food on his plate. Her phone call with Cove's dad must have ended, because your mom came back into the room.
Cove, your dad said you can stay a little while. For a little while if you'd like, but he's going to come and get you before it gets too much late. Sure. Oh, fun. This will be so nice.
Dude, this is just, like, reading this giving me, like, weird nostalgia, like, thinking back this far. Are you having the same kind of thing?
Yeah, and then I get distracted because...
Because the urges return.
My animal instincts won't stop.
The three of you all finished eating shortly after, and Lizzie led the way outside.
Remember, don't stray too far. It's fine, Mom. Okay, yeah, that's gonna stick.
It's just getting worse. Shiloh trailed closely after Lizzie. He was nearly stepping on her heels. Cove hesitated at the
Well, before I saw them, I was gonna make them Marge and Homer Simpson.
Dude, you need to settle that trigger finger. So, go back.
Will.
You missed one. Oh wait, no, okay. Coming? After a moment, he did.
Bye, children.
The two of you were a good 10 or 15 feet behind Lizzie and Shiloh. By the time you walked outside, you pushed the door shut behind you, watching their figures get farther and farther away.
You're so slow, Jaden. We don't have all night.
You started to run when you heard Lizzie's voice calling you, but paused when you saw Cove still walking at a relaxed pace. You walked with him. You fell behind, sliding up next to him and matching his stride. He noticed right away.
You can go ahead if you want.
You smile and shake your head. I don't. After a short while, the two of you reached the hill behind the house. The fireflies were out in full force, floating in the breeze, their gentle glow winking in and out, and creating an almost magical effect. By the way, you know glowworms? You know the part of them that is fluorescent?
Yeah.
You know it's not them, right? It's their shit?
Ah, yeah, no. That was from, I learned that from Surf's Up.
Really? Oh, I just learned that the hard way. When I was in New Zealand.
What did you do?
I didn't do anything. It's just very common that if you go into the caves, sometimes you come out covered in
Shit.
glowworms.
Okay, glowworms.
Lizzie had already climbed to the top. Shallow was spinning in circles somewhere around the middle.
Wow.
Shallow took a moment to come over and welcome the both of you to the hill.
Hi guys, it's really great out here. See how many there are. Yeah.
A firefly danced through the air, landing on Ko's sea green head. I shooed the bug away. The little bug was spooked when you waved your hands towards it, flittering in front of Ko's nose for a moment in the tube before darting away. Ko let out a surprised sound, then followed after the glow.
Oh, look! Lizzie has one. That's amazing.
Shiloh ran to the highest point in the hill, making sure not to lose his hat or backpack along the way. Does this kid just have the backpack mounted to him at all times?
I feel like if he died, his soul would have the hat and backpack on.
in the coffin is like a turtle shell, like it grows with him.
Yeah.
I swear to God, if we get
If he grows up,
Yeah.
he gets like the backpack gets bigger.
You hummed as the group divided and conquered, shifting your gaze to the dozens of other fireflies sailing around. The game was on.
The heat is on.
Yeah, you know the rest of that song?
No. Were you a fuckhead? Were you... Bro, I got scraped every day when I was a kid.
I was pretty good at not getting cuts or scratches, to be honest. Spotting one close by, you approached it with an assassin-like stealth, crouching down to make yourself seem like less of a threat. Slowly dragging one foot in front of the other, you crept up towards it, arms outstretched. You closed your hands around the little glowing orb, careful not to crush it. The firefly landed on your palm, almost docile, and you stared down at your prize in delight. Its tiny legs tickling your skin, and you giggled at the sensation. Cove crept up with his own target. With his own target, but then he tried to grab it. With his pink cast waved awkwardly through the air, foiling his efforts to clap his hands around the fly. Cove watched it vanish into thin air with a dissatisfied expression on his face. I encouraged him to try again. You'll get the next one.
Did you catch one?
You nodded, and Cove gave up his hunt for the moment, coming closer and peering at the insects still crawling on your palm. He held out your hand and leaned closer, eyes widening, a tad behind his glasses. Cove remained hypnotized by the little bug as he inched his hands closer to yours. Ultimately, he settled his fingers lightly over the top of the ones you were holding open. It tingled. You stayed very still. The last thing you wanted was to accidentally scare the shiny treasure off. The firefly noticed the new connection, crawling up onto Cove's hand. He quietly gasped.
It worked.
Yeah, you got one. Cove's lips turned up into a slow smile, and his eyes shined brighter than the bug.
Thanks, Jaden.
With a laugh, he gave the palm of your hand a friendly smack before an awkward low five. Startled by the extreme movement, the tiny light disappeared before you. Before you could even blink, your firefly was gone.
Oops. Sorry.
You did. What a bitch! You forgave me. It's okay. I couldn't keep it forever.
Right. Bugs have to stay outside. Let's get another.
You just sit on the grass and watch.
Oh, I'll rewind.
I think I'll look at everything instead. That's fun too.
Okay.
He poked the tip of his shoe into the soft dirt.
I'll try to get something for you. Then we can be even.
With that, he made a run for it. You quietly took a seat amongst the flowers. The others were jumping and dashing all about. You saw how many times they succeeded and failed. How Shiloh almost tripped a couple times. It was a dramatic show, though around you was calm. The lights of the stars and the fireflies surrounded you peacefully. It was a beautiful night. You laughed quietly to watch it. You laughed quietly to yourself as you watched the others, and Shiloh finally managed to catch a firefly between his small hands. His eyes lit up, and then he spread his fingers to take a peek at it. The bug escaped and flew off into the air.
Ow!
You watched as he pounced after it one more time, but your eyes soon landed on Cove, who had failed to catch a firefly yet. You wait to see what happened. You watched as he crept up on an unsuspecting bug, so slowly that for a moment you wondered if he was still moving at all. Then he raised his hands towards one, bobbing balls of light, closing in on it ever so slowly.
No.
The crafty little critter had escaped his clutches at the last moment, drifting too high up from Cove to reach. While Cove returned to hunting fireflies, you settled to lay back against the soft grass, watching the poppies swaying around you as the fireflies hovered against the vast sky.
Jaden.
You lifted your eyes to see Cove return to your side. His fist was carefully closed. Still he stretched it out in front of your face. You noticed a small glow coming from in between his fingers.
I got one for you.
Wow, what now? The hand disappeared up and over you.
This.
You could tell from how he moved and his face that there must be a firefly on top of your head now. You laughed, and it probably flew off you, you thought. That made you laugh more. Thanks, Cove.
Jaden, go! Get up here. Gonna have a race. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, it sucks, doesn't it? The shouting caught you off guard. It had been quite a while since you heard from Lizzie and Shiloh. You glanced over to see them both standing on top of the hill again, Lizzie beckoning for you to with quick hand gestures. If she was like that, you knew there wasn't much room for disagreement. Up the incline you went. From the corner of your eye, you saw Cove was coming as well. He didn't care for Lizzie a lot, So you thought he might be intrigued just by the idea of a race?
Hi. Hi, Cove. Hi. Cove, you can't roll down the hill. You could hurt your arm again. You'll be the referee for the rest of us. Okay, there he is.
As Lizzie pointed this out, Cove froze in place. Oh, it was that kind of a race. He frowned down at the cars. That was the second time it got in the way tonight.
What? Yeah, you'll watch and see who gets to the bottom first. That's important. Got it? I guess.
The cast was sturdy. If he was careful, he could have done it. Lizzie might have just been looking for a reason to make someone else the referee, but it was already decided. I'll stay with Cove.
Really? Why? You don't have to.
It's okay, I want to watch. You moved beside him at the top of the hill, even though Lizzie eyed you and made a face.
That's not how races work. I only need one referee.
Shrugging your shoulders, you refused to budge, and Lizzie let out a huff before throwing her hands in the air.
Fine, I'll be the winner whether you join or not.
Lizzie moved to lay down, and Shiloh did the same. Cove stood silently to the side to get a better vantage point, and you stood next to him.
Count down.
Cove stood up a little straight. Seemed like he was taking his newfound referee duties seriously.
3, 2, 1, go!
Lizzie and Shiloh took off, letting gravity do the work, rolling at a high speed towards the bottom of the hill.
That reminds me of when you guys used to roll me down the hill. Why, that's actually relevant. Relevant nostalgia.
Oh.
Good days. Not good days.
You and Cove leaned forward to watch them go, eyes peeled for which of the two would reach the bottom first. They were both neck and neck, until about halfway down the hill, Lizzie started to veer off to the side, giving Shiloh a huge advantage. Shiloh's backpack exploded, all of the things coming out of it, and causing a minefield. Lizzie then rolled into the minefield, with cuts and bruises across her arms, but she didn't give up. Shiloh, the saboteur, continued to move, but Lizzie was catching up with a furious force behind him.
She then pulled out her move, Maximum Gyro Power. Oh, sorry, Maximum Gyro Power. Okay, this is getting weird.
Yeah. She obviously hadn't noticed a thing, but as soon as Shiloh reached the bottom of the hill, he jumped up excitedly and threw his hands in the air.
No fair! Your backpack fucking nearly killed me.
I won.
Almost immediately, he fell back onto the grass, still dizzy from his roll down the hill. Lizzie stomped out of the bushes she had ended up in, spluttering angrily and brushing leaves off the front of her dress.
Not bad. You got lucky. Let's do it again and see who wins for real.
Oh, she's one of those kids.
Kids, it's time to come in.
No.
She's
No.
been smoking for years. You snickered, feeling grateful you hadn't been a part of the mini debacle. You caught Cove's eye and saw that he was doing the same. It had gotten late and was beginning to feel just a bit chilly as you made your way out of the hills. But the cold in the air hadn't dampened anyone's spirits. The four of you walked back home together, side by side, on your neighborhood street, discussing the evening, with each person trying to prove that they were the ones who caught the most fireflies. You knew that whoever really did catch the most didn't matter much anyway. All that mattered was that all of you had a good time, which, judging by the smile on everyone's faces, you did.
The real fireflies were the friends we made along the way.
I'm going to kill somebody.
I want to get the ghost one though, but nah.
Did we want to skip the thing? Go to the end of the summer, or do we want to go through the
think one's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Alright. And then the summer ended.
I'll never get tired of that view.
You stood beside your moms, Lizzie, and Cove as the five of you watched the sun dip into the ocean somewhere far, far away. You like to imagine it was cooling off in the water, resting itself before getting ready to shine brightly again tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. That was a fun day. I didn't know they had magicians on the shopping street now.
What?
Neither did I.
Oh, it's probably referencing the shopping stuff.
Yeah. Oh no, we are so dull. Let's go out more.
I didn't do real magic, Mom.
What is this?
It's such a contrast. Holy
voice.
shit.
And I imagine her like a goblin, like.
Everyone's having a nice time and then fucking Lizzie crawls out from the sand like,
He didn't do real magic. The fuck are you on about? Let me show you real magic, Mom. Hippity bippity bop. I just created a sock.
How did you figure that one out?
'Cause I know. That's not what real magic looks like. I've seen it, Mom.
she's like insane. She's actually like a 45-year-old woman that's like gone insane.
Oh Christ!
I've seen real magic. You don't know what they do in here. The spells the wizards cast. They make the programs on the news make it look like it's fake, but it isn't. The real magic is in the 4G towers, Mom.
I'm dying. Oh, Lizzie dear, there's all kinds of magic in the world.
Lizzie gave Mummy a suspicious look, but didn't dispute the claim. You looked over at Cove, who hadn't said a word since you started home. He didn't look upset, just content. You were aware he still hadn't quite warmed up to your parents.
I'll warm up to the mom's bro. Well, we can't sit out here all night. Time to hurry home and get cooking. Who's helping with dinner?
Dude, I'm just saying, if either of them looked at me like that, I would be getting some vibes that,
Just Lizzie immediately let out a groan.
Mom, summer's almost over.
The protest was obvious. You could practically see school on the horizon. You certainly didn't want to spend your last bits of freedom cooking dinner. You could do that any other day. Last one, probably.
Bruh. There's like a reminder, like telltale. Lizzie will remember this.
Mum looked down at Lizzie. With a sigh, she continued pleading.
We'll have with dinner tomorrow. See, we'll have homework and reading to do. We can't do work now, too.
Lizzie made her case and then stomped her foot into the ground.
Well, come on, Pam. I can help you with dinner.
Mummy leaned in for a hug, and you knew that Lizzie was very close to victory.
All right. But as soon as dinner's ready, you lot are coming inside. Understood?
Yes, Mom.
Cove, dear, you're welcome to join us as well.
You grinned at Cove and nudged his arm with your elbow. His splint shattered, and his arm broke in several places again. Cove gave a non-committal shrug to your mum. mummy, which you took as an agreement.
Ah, so much to do, so much to see. So little time. Maybe I could get in this. Maybe this will get the seashell bracelet or toys and trinkets. Ooh, or maybe the playground. Or the fireflies are probably coming out, right? What's wrong with taking the back streets?
I'm going home. No, I'm kidding. You pick.
You silently made your own plans. Lizzie had her own ideas of what she wanted to do, but what were you going to do? You glanced over at Cove, considering. A strong gust of wind made you shiver. Lizzie huffed as she wrapped her arms around herself.
Doesn't the wind know that summer's not over yet?
That's all Lizzie said before abruptly turning on her heel and heading off in the direction that your mothers had gone. Where are you going?
I'm going to my room. I have lots to plan if I want to make the most of tomorrow.
You thought this over. Looking off towards the water again, Lizzie didn't wait, and before long she was disappearing off the road. Meanwhile, Cove was going in the opposite direction, heading for the beach. I would follow Cove. Cove gave you a smile and you couldn't help but return.
Cool.
He made a little gesture as you interpreted as follow me, and then started heading to the waves. Cove knelt down, picking up something you quickly identified as a smooth rock. That's very different to other rocks, as no rocks are smooth except for this one. He reared his arm back and then tossed it into the water.
It was as smooth as Shiloh's brain. I'm so tempted.
The rock sunk. Kind of like, well, a rock. I'll do the top one. You can't... I looked for my own rock. Deciding to join Cove, you searched nearby for any rocks or shells that you could throw too. You found a shell that would suit your purposes, a smile growing as you tossed it hard as you could. It landed with a wet-sounding thunk a few feet away and slipped down into the water. Then you looked over at Cove. He didn't seem to notice that his throw had been more impressive. Cove was looking down at his cast, scratching idly at the pink surface, even though you were pretty sure he couldn't feel it. His brows furrowed, and there was a frown on his face.
It's not fair. I've had to wear this cast for ages. I can't even swim.
When do you get it off? Cove shrugged. I didn't say anything. For a while, you thought maybe he didn't know. But finally he sighed.
A few weeks.
It's not a very long time at all. It'll be off before you know it. You offered a smile, but Cove wasn't looking at you. Cove let out a huff, plopping down on the sand.
Oh, I can't believe summer's almost over.
You sat down next to him, nodding in agreement, regardless of the sudden topic change.
I don't want to go to school. I mean, I would. I don't want to go to a new school. I think it'll be the same school as you and Lizzie. My dad said something about that.
Cool. You're going to like it. Everyone's super nice. You'd only ever been to one school, but you were sure that his old school couldn't have been much better. Then again, he did have to make new friends and meet new teachers. It could be kind of scary. Cove shook his head, then wrapped his good arm around his knees as he drew them into his chest. You heard a sniffling sound, and then you took a good look at his face. You realized that his eyes were wet.
I want to go home.
You never had to move before, but you thought you could understand. If you had to go to a new school all of a sudden, with all new people, you'd probably be dreading it too. Even though you sort of maybe understood, you still weren't sure about how to help. Okay, I'll see you later. Cove gave his hand a small shake. Head a small shake.
No, I want to go back home.
Right. Cove wanted to go back to his old home. The one that sat waiting someplace far away from here. The one he would bring up whenever he felt this sad. It had been a while since he had moved in, but he didn't seem to feel any better about being here. You settled back down into the sand, trying to consider what to do. Do you hate it here? Cove's brows furrowed even more. Then he shook his head. You felt a rush of relief fill you. You liked having Cove here. It would be sad if he'd been miserable the whole time.
You're not going to leave, right? You'll still be around.
That question was a little surprising. Of course. That's the voice I also responded in.
Of course.
From, I don't know, to, of course. Very, like, assertive, turned into a 40-year-old man, just to say that one word. Your parents would have mentioned to you if you were going to move or something, right? After a second, Cove gave a little nod.
Once I get my cast off, we can go swimming.
You were fine with him changing the subject again. Yeah, that would be fun. Cove smiled, then looked back to the waves.
My dad keeps saying I'll get used to everything, eventually. But I'd feel better then. It used to make me angry. I didn't want to get used to everything.
You spared a glance over at Cove. You saw the anger that slipped off his face in favor of something almost puzzled.
But maybe that would be okay after all, as long as I really do feel better. I can't say it.
You could remember. A long time ago when you'd first started going to school. You had absolutely not been okay with the idea of being away from your parents for most of the day. To listen to strangers tell you what to do and sit with kids you'd never met before. Things changing is hard. I'll make sure you do. No. You held his hand.
And actually say, I'll make sure you do.
You're not quite sure what to say to that. So instead, you reach out and take hold of Ko's hand. The one closest to you is the one in his cast. So you made sure you were to be very gentle. As you watched, Cove's eyes got a little misty once more. You got the feeling that they were different tears than the ones from before, though.
I hope next summer I'll surf and go exploring, and everything will feel like it's supposed to again.
You will. It will. The two of you sat quietly, just taking in the sounds of the waves. You hoped that Cove would be able to accept this place and his new home. You definitely tried to help in what ways you could. There were so many wonderful things here Cove probably hadn't even seen yet. Lost in thought, you stared a bit. You started a bit when you heard a faint, familiar sound. Sound of your mom shouting your name. You looked over your shoulder, realizing it was probably time for dinner. Time had really gone by fast. You stood and dusted the sand off of yourself. My mum's calling. It's time for dinner. You should come. Cove looked up at you, expression screaming reluctance, yet ultimately.
Okay.
Then you smiled. Cove returned to the with one of his own.
Thanks, Jin.
It was nice where you were right then. But the two of you couldn't stay there in your own little world any longer. You're being called forward. So, the both of you ran off towards the house, leaving the waves and the summer behind. No. Okay, I was gonna say do it in a different slot.
Whoops.
In between. We'll get back to this at the next point in time that we do another episode.
Yeah.
That was a set of words that I said.
Alright. That was... Poor kid, man.
It's... Moving is... You probably... Did you ever move when you were young?
Twice. Yeah.
How did you feel when you moved?
Oh, I didn't want to go to school.
I remember the first thing that happened to me when I moved was... like literally the first day I moved, I ended up having to go to school.
That sucks.
Because the idea was like... So... I moved at like the start of year 6. Like right as primary school was about to end. And that was like... Man, it sucked. Like being 12 years old and just like having like the feeling of like everything ripped away from you. Just
See, I had the opposite, cause like everything in my hometown sucked. Like the friends that I had in the school in my hometown, they were either gone or they were kind of like bullying me. So when I went to another school, initially I was like, I don't want to go to school at all. My mom was like, no, you're fucking going to school. No choice. And I actually made a ton of friends there. That's where I met Fish Girl, like grade 6.
Okay. Interesting.
And I think that was the start of me like becoming an actual, like actually good, getting good at life.
I don't know, it's like... I feel like moving definitely like makes you grow up in a specific way. It's like... For a short amount of time, you just really have to accept that like...
The things you had were gone.
Yeah, everything you knew is kind of not there anymore. And that's like really... It's really morbid, but it's... I mean, it is... That's life. It sucks.
Oh, also when I moved here, like all the friends... Like, when I moved back to the Philippines, like... No, not move back. When I visited again the Philippines, the friends that I used to have, like, I realized that I could no longer, like, unless I kept up with them all this time, it was like they were different people, and I could no longer connect with them the way that I used to back then.
Yeah, it was...
Damn.
Yeah, moving is weird. It's also like... Because I became friends with you pretty early on after you moved here, right?
Yeah.
How long had it been since you moved here that we ended up meeting?
Meeting?
Yeah.
Like a few weeks, like a month.
Within a month?
Within a month.
Wow, okay.
Because I got to... When did schools used to start? February, right?
Yeah, early February.
A month and a half, max.
Because I remember that, yeah, the first day I moved is when I met Ryan. Yeah. It's... Yeah, it's weird shit. Anyway, next time on Box of Issues,
We're actually gonna be we're gonna be properly box of tissues by the end of this playthrough.
We're gonna need a box of tissues because this is like, God fucking damn it! Every time we do a visual novel, this is gonna be the experience.
It's your pick, not mine.
Yeah. Maybe we should have gone with 20B.
Or bag of milk outside of a bag of milk outside. Yeah.
I feel like that's gonna be worse. That's gonna be a lot more emotionally like daunting. Cause I feel like that's going to explore things that like we've gone through, you know.
Yeah. Or we should play that Peppa Pig game.
Spoilers for the channel.
I'm not paying for it. Alright.
I might have to.
No, you won't.
We'll look on G2A.
No. Alright, see y'all. Bye.
Catch you.